All right, today we're going to go through the unit, Geological Time in Virginia Geology. And it's about the study of Earth's past and what it tells us today. So there's a lot to learn about things from the past, and they help us learn about things we might need for the future. So we're going to start with each of the concepts that you should have learned this unit. We have geological timeline, geological record, and then Virginia provinces. And for your tests, the questions are divided. There are 10 questions from geological timeline, there are about 20 from geological record, and there are 8 from Virginia provinces. So you can kind of think about that while you're studying and where you might need to have more focus. So we're going to start with concept 1, and give me 1 second to shift that. So with concept 1, which is the geological timeline, so we're going to focus on the divisions of geological time. The largest is the eon, then era, period, and epoch is the smallest. Then you have Precambrian time, which is famous for oceans forming, the atmosphere formed, land forms, and the first life. Paleozoic is known for age of fish, which was mostly marine life. You have your first land organisms beginning to come out of the water, amphibians, and then your first reptiles. And then Pangea forms. At the end of the Paleozoic, you have a large extinction event. Then you have the Mesozoic era, which is the age of reptiles, which particularly were dinosaurs. Pangea begins to break apart, and then asteroids, with a little bit of volcanoes added onto it, are what end the era. They make the sky fill with debris, blocking out sunlight, which then leads to colder temperatures that the reptiles aren't able to survive. The Cenozoic era is known as the age of mammals, and it's our first humanoids appear in the geological rock record. So these are your important concepts to remember with geological time. You do want to go ahead and take a look at your timeline with the different eons, eras, periods, and epochs that's on your study guide, so you can refer back to those and what things happened when. All right. Now, next section is the geological record, and that's the one with the most questions, so let's take a few minutes to look over it. Geological record, major concepts are going to be fossils, things like trace fossils, which would be like worm trails, the burrows we talked about, even gastroliths from dinosaurs. Index fossils, which are widespread with a short existence. Then you have mold fossils, which are hollow. Cast fossils are filled in. Permineralization is when the pores fill with minerals. And that's your big fossil concepts to keep in mind. Then you have relative dating. So relative dating is when you get the approximate age based on the age of the things around it. So index fossils can help you do that. Index fossils might tell you the time period. Because of their short existence, they can tell you the time period that the organism would have existed. You also want to keep in mind your principles. Superposition says that the youngest should be on the top and your oldest rock should be on the bottom. Cross-cutting says that faults and intrusions that cut across layers are younger than the things they cut across. Horizontality is for sedimentary rock. They form horizontally. They should not form at an angle or in blobs. They should be nice and flat. Uniformitarianism says that the things happening in the past are happening the same today, so we can study them and assume the same things. And then also with these, you want to keep in mind that if there's something different, like we said horizontality says it should be flat, well, uniformitarianism says today layers aren't flat because of erosion. So if they're not flat in our geological rock record, we know erosion occurred, and that's called an unconformity, which was a vocabulary word. So you want to go back over your relative dating activities, your superposition worksheet, your cross-cutting worksheet. You had one on index fossils and one on correlation. That will help you with relative dating information. And now absolute dating. Radioactive isotopes is a word you want to keep in mind. Those are the ones that decay. They lose electrons and protons. Decay just means the fact that they're losing them. Half-life is the time it takes for half of the radioactive to become non-radioactive. And that time could be anything from 5,000 years to billions of years. It depends on the element. And you would be given the information about what the half-life is. You need to know how to use it. And you also want to keep in mind absolute dating is not for sedimentary rocks because they're made up of so many different rocks. So those are your big concepts to hit. You want to review that information, use your study guide to kind of see the resources that will help you review that information. And then last but not least is your Virginia geology. And I've listed out a couple facts about each of the different provinces, and we'll kind of skim through this. So you have the coastal plain, which is your flattest province, and it's got that terraced landscape. It's mostly sediments and sedimentary rock because of all the runoff from the Appalachian Mountains. It's the youngest or most recently formed of the different provinces, and there are a lot of fossils, particularly marine fossils with its proximity to the ocean. Your Piedmont's the next one over, so now we're going towards the west. This was your most eastern. Now towards the west, you have the Piedmont province, which is where we live. It's the rolling hills. It's the largest province. It has slate and kyanite mines, which are used for electronics. It's also got a lot of igneous and metamorphic rock underneath. Next one is Blue Ridge, which is your oldest. It has the oldest rocks found in Virginia are found along the Blue Ridge. It has the highest point in Virginia, and it's got the blue haze caused by the plant pheromones. Valley and Ridge has your Cambrian algal fossils. It also has karst topography formed from the limestone in the area. And then your last province in the west would be the Appalachian Plateau, which is known for its coal, flat-lying sedimentary rock, and fossils. So when you're studying, you want to go back over your Virginia notes, which was the fill-in-the-blank notes. You also want to make sure that you're kind of looking at that frame that you cut and pasted together. That'll help you review that information. So make sure you're studying that for the test.